Hey everybody, it's Tripl-L and now let's talk some Shokugeki no Soma chapter 250. I forget the name of the chapter. It was called The Man Known as Tsukasa Eishi. And what a chapter this was. Mostly that Tsukasa is the worst kind of sociopath or psychopath. Actually, I'll have to look that up. But yeah, chapter 250. What do we get in the chapter? Well, we go through, we get the judging for Tsukasa's dish. Of course, it is horrifically complex. We have the continuation of the Nene and Ishiki sort of thing. It's now Nene is just taking the role of that worried friend. She's very worried for Ishiki because now she has really no reason to hate the guy after he told her she's beautiful. Anyway, Ishiki's there. The biggest thing that we can take away from the conversations between Ishiki and Nene is that he may have just convinced her to leave Central. That's something that he's just wormed himself in there. So I do wonder at this point, if we're gonna go through with this, are we gonna end up in a situation where maybe Soma and Irina lose to the two who are left? Or let's say they lose out to Central. Can we still get a victory if we have someone like, say, Saito and also Nene, maybe Momo even, if those three were to say yeah, they don't really feel that great about Central anymore? You know, that would be an easy way to make the kids lose but still have their whole fight mean something. Although at that point, you know, it would bring up other questions like how worth it everything was, and it's just, let's not go down that way. I think at this point, we're better off if we get a victory for the rebel side. But yeah, anyway, I really do enjoy still the interactions between Ishiki and Nene. I think they're very cute. And Tsukasa, to some degree, also has cute interactions in this chapter, right? He has a little bit where he's getting in between Nene and Ishiki's moment, and he's doing that same thing he did to Soma, the whole hey, work with me. And it's just alright, this guy's just, when you see this, it's yeah, he's a nice guy, but then you think about what he's doing, and it's you're cutting there pretty deep, man. You really don't care. And as we find out in the chapter, that's pretty much what we're hammering home, is that Tsukasa doesn't care about anything else other than his own stuff, which, you know, to some degree I feel that's totally fine. It's competitive nature. I think it does, however, cross the line when you're taking someone else's resources. And because this is the most interesting part about Tsukasa's character, let's break it down a bit. I think the best way to try and understand what he's doing and whether or not it's really that bad depends on the context of when he's doing it, right? So in the chapter we get the initial scene where he's doing a painting and the girl next to him makes a nice shade of blue. It's a beautiful shade of blue. So what does he do? He utilizes that shade of blue that the girl just made, without asking. Now, that's a big deal for kids, because kids should do things while they ask. Point is, he doesn't care about who the ownership of the resource, you know, who the resource belongs to. He just went ahead and used it, right? Alright, cool. But that's in an environment where in that environment, it's just him being a dick. And he clearly has no concept of someone else's sovereignty. So let's change it up. If he was writing a paper, for academia, and he sees that the person who maybe it's a classmate, they have an excellent paragraph, absolutely excellent paragraph. It really hammers in the argument. It's an amazing argument. He reads it. He decides, okay, yeah, I'm gonna put that in my paper. All right. At that point, depending on where he is, if he's at university level, it's well, no, boy, sit down. That's not cool. This person made a claim that you plagiarized. At that point, Tsukasa's fucking screwed. Right? You can't plagiarize. That's not cool. If you get caught, you're screwed. So at that point, Tsukasa would be yeah, he would probably do it, given what we're seeing with this whole thing with the painting. At that point, though, it's an issue of whether or not he would get caught, even though if he actually is doing that, he's totally in the wrong. He's totally in the wrong in that context. If he was, again, writing a university paper, okay, maybe he sees a quote from someone online that he thinks is amazing. If he adds that to his paper, it's gonna make his paper better. Well, okay, how does he go about it? Is he gonna cite that source? Is he gonna say, hey, this is a reference to the person? Because if he does, that's totally legal, and it's totally a safe way of him taking resources and using it in his own work. That's totally fine, right? So the worst part about this whole thing with Tsukasa is just he's a dick. He doesn't care about the other person. But at the end of the day, it's really not that bad of a thing. Like, it's just a competitive nature, if anything. It's just competitiveness to the point where you don't care about another person. Like, that's not that bad. Like, I think the thing is trying to make it seem really terrible, but it's just like the guy's being brutally effective. Again, the worst times are when it involves someone else and you're stealing from someone else. Like, let's take it to an extreme in the kitchen. He's working on a dish. Maybe it's a competition setting. Maybe they're in a classroom because he's established he doesn't care about classroom law. He's working on a dish. He sees that the person next to him has just made a really great sauce. If Tsukasa was to go grab a scoop and pull out that sauce and pour it on his dish because he believes that's going to make his dish better, that's a really aggressive move. At that point, it's like, alright, yeah, that's not cool. That's clearly not cool, because like that one is like blatantly stealing. So there is a context here. In some contexts, Tsukasa doing this kind of maneuver, the optimization of his own thing, in some contexts it could work totally fine. In some others, it seems really bad. But like, is it that big of a deal? The guy just wants to be the best. So, you know, it's an interesting like little thing that they bring up about the character. But I don't see how this could be a flaw. Unless, of course, you make it more personal. If you bring in that personal element of you just stole someone else's work, okay, yeah, that's where it becomes a problem. It's because like Tsukasa's infringing on someone else's freedoms, or Tsukasa's infringing on someone else's right to their property. But otherwise, it's just, I think the fact that he's okay doing that is a serious problem. He's probably okay being a thief. Probably fine. The next big question that we can like really bring up in regards to this thing with Tsukasa is like, with the example of the little girl, he took a paint, but he never made the paint, right? So like you could definitely argue that Tsukasa's weakness at that point would be like he doesn't really know how to make the resource that he's sorry, my voice went there. He doesn't know how to make the resource that he is stealing. I think that's a good thing to point out about it. But Tsukasa's a freaking genius at cooking. Will that flaw actually matter? And again, it's not like he's stealing resources in the same way that he stole the paint. So like, I think the funniest way, like the funniest like conclusion, the funniest couple of steps that we could take from this introduced character flaw or character trait of Tsukasa is if when he's like going up against Soma or Erina, if he just sees that Soma does something cool and he goes over to Soma and takes whatever Soma just made. If he does that, then I think that's like, alright, that's like a logical extreme of this trait. Are we gonna see that? I hope not. Like, you would assume that the guy has some common sense, but then you would argue, well, no, he clearly doesn't have common sense given that he was stealing things all the time. But at the same time, it's like, well, that'd be a stupid way to go down, because I'm pretty sure if he did that, I'm pretty sure he'd get disqualified. He must have a common sense to know when to do that and when not to. But yeah, like, it's just, at this point, it just seems like a character trait, and that character trait is justifiable as long as it doesn't infringe on someone else's property. So I just, I find it funny. Because, like, you know, in the purpose of the chapter, like, it's doing this to show this guy's abnormal. At least when it comes to interacting with people, he's very abnormal. He has no social cues in this like kind of thing. But yeah, really interesting stuff. I might have gone too deep into it. We spent too much time talking about it. You guys, if you have any opinions about it, let me know down below. But I found it interesting, and I'm just kind of going about it. Anyway, I'm not gonna go over the cooking because the cooking is like horribly complex. Just it had a hidden feature to it, and that's a feature that Anne pointed out. Whatever. We know that Tsukasa's a genius. Him doing incredible cooking, whatever. I'm more interested in Ishiki when he's getting beaten. You know, you have Tsukasa saying, "Hey, you know, if you join with me, you're good. You're good. You're smooth sailing." And Ishiki's like, "Nah, man, I'm all right." With Ishiki, the confidence that the guy has, his demeanor, like it's definitely striking. It definitely leaves an impact. I'm just so curious about Ishiki. I'm curious if like Ishiki was even going as hard as he wanted to. You know, like, Ishiki, like, are you holding back? Anyway, the image of Ishiki just standing there in his underwear is just like, yeah, okay, he's doing it. And the next thing is like, okay, Ishiki stripped down in front of a stadium of people into just his underwear, and it's like, yeah, that's Ishiki. And at first I really thought it was just a metaphor, like they were just the metaphor of Ishiki getting destroyed. But then you see him talking to Nene, he's walking away and the man's holding his robes, and it's like, God damn it, Ishiki, you just stripped in like a second in front of all these people. I'm sure there were people in the audience just swooning over that. And I'm surprised no one else like made a bigger deal about it other than Nene. That said, Ishiki definitely still has presence. Like, when you get beaten and you're still standing strong, naked, yeah, you've got presence, man. You've got confidence to spare. You don't even care. Like, the world could end tomorrow and you're still gonna be freaking effective. But yeah, Ishiki's a man. That's pretty much all it's saying. So now, like, let's do random observations. First off, Soma is still drinking tea. He's been drinking tea this whole time. That's amazing. It's incredible the guy hasn't had to go to the bathroom. Next up, I hope that eventually Tsukasa's gonna fall to the ground and be like, yeah, I'm tired. Because, man, authors, come on, you set up that exhaustion is a factor that the rebel side is going after. I don't understand how Kuga could push the first seat to falling onto the ground, but Ishiki can't. I think that's a pretty dirty move if you say like that's not the case, because then what's the point of everything, right? Like, you're taking away like the strategy. And we know that there's going to be maybe a day break between these two events, right? Because that's what happened the first time. So, you know, I hope that Ishiki beat Tsukasa down to a point that Tsukasa's tired. Because otherwise the implication is Kuga's better than Ishiki, who's actually better than Momo. So therefore Kuga's better than Momo. Or sorry, wait, shit, not Momo, Nene. Sorry, apologies. Kuga's better than Ishiki, and Ishiki's actually better than Nene. But so Kuga would be better than Nene. See, that would be the implication. So I really do hope I see Tsukasa fall out of exhaustion. Now we're going into Rindo and Takumi, and it's just like maybe Ishiki made something for Takumi to use. That'd be cool. I'd be into that. I think that'd be totally fair. I don't think he's gonna win, but I think that'd be totally fair. Anyway, guys, that's pretty much it. That's chapter 250. Interesting chapter overall. Ishiki's confident, and you know, if say Aldini actually does pull through and beats Rindo, then alright, I'd be into that. I'd be so into that, man. I hope it happens, because that'd be like, I don't expect that to happen, so if they do that, that'd be cool. But yeah, let's end it there. Guys, thanks for watching. Until next time, I hope you have a great day.